When you think of professional wrestling, one name stands above all others. That name is Hulk Hogan. Before he was a global superstar, he was a boy from Augusta, Georgia, named Terry Eugene Bollea, born on August 11, 1953. He grew up in Tampa, Florida, a place that would forever be linked with his larger-than-life story. Terry Bollea was a big kid who loved music and wrestling, but no one could have predicted he would become the most famous wrestler in history. With his towering height, incredible 24-inch pythons for arms, and a charisma that could light up an entire stadium, he was destined for greatness. He was more than just a wrestler, he was a real-life superhero to millions of people around the world. Hulk Hogan was a phenomenon. He wasn't just big, he was an icon of strength and American pride. His look was unforgettable. The bright yellow boots, the red and yellow tights, and the bandana that barely contained his flowing blonde hair. When he stepped through the ropes, you knew you were about to witness something special. He had a connection with the audience that was pure magic. He would cup his ear to the crowd and tens of thousands of Hulkamaniacs would roar their approval. This was more than just a show, it was an experience. He made you believe that with enough training, prayers, and vitamins you could overcome any obstacle in your path just like he did in the ring. His physical presence was simply awe-inspiring. Standing at an impressive 6 feet 7 inches and weighing over 300 pounds in his prime, he was a mountain of a man. But his size was matched by an even bigger personality. He spoke with a raspy, intense voice that grabbed your attention and never let go. His interviews were legendary, filled with promises to run wild on his opponents and stand up for what was right. He wasn't just playing a character. For millions of fans, he was that character. He represented the best of the American spirit, resilience, determination, and the unwavering belief that good will always triumph over evil in the end. The name Hulk Hogan became synonymous with professional wrestling itself. He was the engine that drove the industry into the mainstream, turning it from a regional spectacle into a global entertainment empire. Before Hogan, wrestlers were tough guys known in certain parts of the country. After Hogan, they were international celebrities, appearing on magazine covers in movies and on talk shows. He built the foundation for what WWE is today, and his influence can still be felt in every superstar who steps into the ring. He was the original, the immortal, the one and only Hulk Hogan, and his story is one of triumph, struggle, and an everlasting legacy. The journey to superstardom began when Terry Bollea caught the eye of Vincent K. McMahon, the visionary promoter who wanted to take his World Wrestling Federation, or WWF, to a national level. McMahon saw something unique in the charismatic giant from Florida. He saw the perfect hero to build his company around. In 1984, Hulk Hogan defeated the Iron Sheik to win the WWF Championship at Madison Square Garden. That night, something incredible was born, Hulkamania. It wasn't just a catchphrase, it was a movement. The crowd erupted as the new champion held the title high, and a new era in entertainment had officially begun. The world was about to run wild. Hulkamania was built on a simple yet powerful message. Hogan told his fans, his Hulkamaniacs, to follow 3 commandments: media group, Hulk Hogan speaking to fans, Hulkamania merchandise and slogans from the 1980s, at stock at distribute_equally train, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. This wasn't just advice for wrestling, it was a guide for life. He encouraged kids to believe in themselves, to work hard, and to stand up for what is right. He was the ultimate role model, a real-life Captain America who fought for honor and glory. When he tore his shirt off, pointed at his opponent, and told the crowd what he was going to do, you believed every single word. He made wrestling feel real and important, and he made every child in the audience feel like they were a part of his team. This connection with the fans was the secret to his incredible success. He wasn't a distant, untouchable celebrity, he felt like a friend, a big brother who was always in your corner. When he was in trouble in the ring, he would Hulk up. He would absorb his opponent's best shots, shake his head, and feel the energy from the crowd. The fans would cheer louder and louder, and you could see the power surging through him. This comeback sequence, the shake, the finger point, the 3 punches, the big boot, and the final atomic leg drop, was a ritual. It was a story of resilience that played out night after night, and it never got old. The rise of Hulkamania in the 1980s perfectly coincided with the rise of cable television, especially MTV. This partnership created the rock and wrestling connection, which brought wrestling to a whole new audience. Hogan appeared alongside pop stars like Cyndi Lauper, and suddenly wrestling was cool. It was no longer just for die-hard sports fans, it was for everyone. Hulk Hogan was on lunchboxes, action figures, and Saturday morning cartoons. He was the face of a generation, a pop culture titan who transformed a niche sport into a global spectacle. The entire industry was carried on his broad suntanned shoulders. During his reign as the champion in red and yellow, Hulk Hogan created moments that are forever etched in the memories of wrestling fans. He was the main event attraction for the first 8 WrestleManias, turning the event into the Super Bowl of professional wrestling. Each year, he would face a new, seemingly unstoppable villain, and each year, he would find a way to emerge victorious, his hand raised in triumph. From battling giants to clashing with kings, Hogan's matches were more than just athletic contests. They were epic stories of good versus evil, and the fans hung on every single moment, cheering for their hero to save the day once more. Perhaps no moment defined his career more than WrestleMania 3 in 1987. In front of a record-breaking crowd of over 93,000 fans at the Pontiac Silverdome, Hulk Hogan faced his biggest challenge yet, the undefeated 500-pound behemoth, Andre the Giant. For weeks the world wondered if Hogan could possibly defeat his former friend. The turning point of the match became one of the most iconic visuals in sports history. Hogan lifted the massive Andre into the air and slammed him to the mat, a feat many thought was impossible. The body slam was heard around the world, cementing Hogan's status as a legend and creating a moment that will live forever. His time at the top was filled with incredible rivalries that defined an era. He clashed with the loudmouthed Rowdy Roddy Piper, the arrogant King Harley Race, and the diabolical Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. But one of his most personal and explosive feuds was with his former friend Macho Man Randy Savage. Together they formed the Mega Powers, the most dominant tag team in the WWF. But jealousy and suspicion tore them apart, leading to a blockbuster main event at WrestleMania 5. The story was personal, emotional, and captivating, proving that Hogan could deliver not just action but incredible drama as well. Even in defeat, Hogan created unforgettable moments. At WrestleMania 6, he faced the unstoppable Ultimate Warrior in a title-for-title match, champion versus champion. In a rare occurrence, Hogan was pinned cleanly in the middle of the ring. It was a shocking moment, but Hogan handled it with pure class. He grabbed the WWF Championship belt, handed it to the new champion, and raised his opponent's arm in victory. This act of sportsmanship showed a different side of the hero. It proved that even when he lost, Hulk Hogan was still a champion in the eyes of the people, passing the torch in a moment that was both respectful and historic. Hulk Hogan's career was defined by the titans he faced in the ring. His matches were not just about wrestling moves, they were about larger-than-life characters colliding in epic battles. Every feud was a story, and Hogan was the ultimate protagonist. He had a special ability to make his opponents seem like the biggest threats in the world, which made his eventual triumph even more satisfying for the millions of Hulkamaniacs cheering him on. These legendary showdowns were not just matches, they were cultural events that drew massive television audiences and sold-out arenas across the globe, proving the incredible drawing power of the Hulkster. One of his most memorable feuds was against his own boss, the chairman of WWE, Vince McMahon. This rivalry blurred the lines between fiction and reality. McMahon claimed he created Hulkamania, and that Hogan owed him everything. Hogan, in turn, represented the spirit of the fans against the corrupt corporate power of his boss. Their animosity culminated in a brutal street fight at WrestleMania 19. The match was bloody, personal, and intense. It was a battle for Hogan's legacy, and by defeating McMahon, he proved that Hulkamania belonged to the people, not to any one man. It was a powerful story of rebellion against authority. Years later, a dream match became a reality at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto. It was billed as icon versus icon as Hulk Hogan, the hero of the 1980s, faced off against The Rock, the hero of the late 1990s. Hogan entered the match as the villain, but the crowd had other ideas. They remembered the hero of their childhood and cheered for him with a passion that shocked everyone. The fans turned Hogan into the good guy right before our eyes. The electricity in that arena was unbelievable. Even though The Rock won the match, the two icons stood together afterward, showing mutual respect in a moment that transcended victory and defeat. Another classic encounter was his battle with the Ultimate Warrior. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, they were the two biggest forces in the WWF, and a collision was inevitable. Their match at WrestleMania 6 was a spectacle unlike any other, pitting two seemingly invincible heroes against each other. The atmosphere was electric as fans were torn between their two favorites. The match was a back-and-forth classic that showcased both men's incredible power and charisma. When the Warrior got the victory, it felt like a true passing of the torch, a moment that defined the careers of both men and showed Hogan's willingness to create new stars. In 1994, Hulk Hogan did the unthinkable. He left the WWF and joined its biggest rival, World Championship Wrestling, or WCW. He arrived as the same red and yellow hero everyone knew and loved, and he quickly became the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. For 2 years, he fought off villains just as he always had, but honestly the wrestling world was changing. Fans were starting to cheer for anti-heroes, and the classic good guy persona was becoming a little stale. Something had to change. At the Bash at the Beach pay-per-view in 1996, Hulk Hogan would make a decision that would shake the foundations of the entire industry and change his career forever. The main event of that show featured two outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, who were threatening to take over WCW. They promised they had a third partner and, well, nobody knew who it was. In the final moments of the match, just as it seemed the WCW heroes would win, Hulk Hogan walked to the ring. Everyone assumed he was there to save the day, just as he had done 1,000 times before. But then, he did the unthinkable. He attacked his friend Randy Savage, dropping his signature leg drop on him. He turned his back on the fans, on WCW, and on everything he had ever stood for. The hero was now the ultimate villain. That night, Hulk Hogan shed his red and yellow and embraced black and white. He announced the formation of the New World Order, or NWO, alongside Nash and Hall. He was no longer Hulk Hogan. He was Hollywood Hogan, an arrogant, cool, and dangerous villain who mocked the fans he once loved. This heel turn was one of the greatest risks in wrestling history, and it paid off spectacularly. Hollywood Hogan was even more popular than the heroic Hulk Hogan had been. He was the bad guy you love to hate, and he led the NWO on a path of destruction through WCW, making it the hottest show on television. The NWO storyline propelled WCW to the top of the ratings in the Monday Night Wars against the WWF. Every week, fans tuned in to see what chaos Hollywood Hogan and his crew would cause next. They spray-painted the WCW Championship belt, brutally attacked anyone who stood in their way, and took over the entire company. Hogan's transformation was incredible. He traded his bandanas for black sunglasses and his inspirational speeches for arrogant insults. This bold move reinvented his character, extended his career for another decade, and created one of the most influential and successful storylines in the history of professional wrestling. Hulk Hogan's fame was too big to be contained within the wrestling ring. His charisma and larger-than-life personality made him a natural fit for Hollywood. Even before Hulkamania fully exploded, he made a memorable appearance in the 1982 film Rocky III. He played the towering wrestler Thunderlips in an exhibition match against Rocky Balboa. The scene was unforgettable and introduced Hogan to a massive movie-going audience. It was a perfect role that showcased his incredible physique and commanding presence. This appearance gave the world a taste of the superstardom that was just around the corner and proved he had crossover appeal. As his fame grew in the WWF, Hollywood came calling again. He starred in his own movie, No Holds Barred, in 1989, which was produced by the WWF. He played a wrestler named Rip Thomas, a character who was very similar to his Hulk Hogan persona. He went on to star in a series of family-friendly comedies like Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny. While he never became a top-billed movie star like some other wrestlers who followed him, his films were popular with his young fan base. He even tried his hand at music, releasing an album called Hulk Rules. Hogan was everywhere, a true pop culture icon of the late 80s and early 90s. In the 2000s, Hogan found a new way to connect with audiences: reality television. His show, Hogan Knows Best, premiered in 2005 and gave fans a look into his family life in Florida. The show featured his then-wife, Linda, and their two children, Brooke and Nick. It showed a different side of the Hulkster, portraying him as a protective and sometimes over-the-top father trying to navigate the challenges of raising two teenagers in the spotlight. The show was a huge success, and introduced him to a new generation of fans who may not have known him from his wrestling days. It made the Hogan family household names. Hogan's influence extended far beyond movies and television. He became a highly sought-after personality for commercials, talk shows, and public appearances. He was a vocal supporter of former President Donald Trump, making a memorable appearance at the 2024 Republican National Convention. He was more than just a wrestler, he was a brand. The name Hulk Hogan represented strength, Americana, and entertainment. Whether he was flexing his pythons on The Tonight Show or launching a new business venture, he always knew how to command the spotlight and keep himself relevant in the ever-changing landscape of pop culture. Behind the bandana and the 24-inch pythons was a man named Terry Bollea, who lived a life full of personal triumphs and challenges. For many years the world saw him as the ultimate family man, thanks in large part to his reality show. He was married to his first wife, Linda Claridge, from 1983 to 2007. Together, they raised their two children, Brooke and Nick Bollea. Brooke followed in her father's entertainment footsteps, pursuing a career as a singer and television personality, while Nick became known for his interest in cars and racing. The family's life was put on display for the world to see, showing the joys and struggles of being part of a famous household. Hogan's public image as a devoted husband and father was a central part of his identity for decades. However, his marriage to Linda ended in a very public and difficult divorce, which was heavily covered by the media. The end of their relationship marked a challenging period in his personal life. He later found love again and married Jennifer McDaniel in 2010, though that marriage also ended in divorce in 2012. These personal struggles showed a more vulnerable side of the Immortal icon, reminding the world that even real-life superheroes face heartbreak and adversity. Life outside the ring was often more complicated than any storyline. In his later years, Hogan found happiness again. In September 2023, he married his third wife, a yoga instructor named Sky Daly. Friends and family described him as being incredibly happy in this new chapter of his life. He often posted photos and videos on social media showing a softer, more relaxed version of himself, enjoying his time in his beloved home state of Florida. He remained incredibly close to his children, Brooke and Nick, who were by his side through all the ups and downs. His family was his anchor, providing him with strength and support away from the roar of the crowd and the bright lights of the camera. Despite the fame and fortune, Hogan always seemed most at home in Clearwater, Florida. He was a local legend, a familiar face around town. He opened a store called Hogan's Beach Shop and a restaurant called Hogan's Hangout, where fans could come to feel a piece of the Hulkamania magic. These ventures allowed him to connect with his community and his fans on a personal level. He was a grandfather, a husband, and a friend. While the world knew him as Hulk Hogan, the immortal legend, his family, and those closest to him knew him as Terry Bollea, a man with a huge heart who loved his family above all else. For all his incredible success, Hulk Hogan's journey was not without its dark chapters. His larger-than-life persona sometimes brought immense scrutiny, and his mistakes were played out on a public stage for the world to see. In the 2010s, he became embroiled in a major lawsuit against the media company Gawker. The site had published a private, illegally recorded tape of him without his consent. The legal battle was long and grueling, taking a significant emotional toll on Hogan. He fought not just for his privacy, but for his reputation, in a case that raised major questions about celebrity privacy and freedom of the press. Ultimately, Hogan won the lawsuit, a legal victory that resulted in a massive judgment and led to Gawker's bankruptcy. While he felt vindicated in court, the ordeal came at a great personal cost. During the legal proceedings, another tape was leaked, this one containing racist and offensive remarks made by Hogan in private. The backlash was immediate and severe. The comments were completely at odds with the heroic, all-American image he had built over decades. It was a shocking revelation that deeply disappointed millions of his fans and threatened to erase his entire legacy. The hero had fallen, and fallen hard. The fallout from the racist remarks was swift. In 2015, WWE, the company he helped build, terminated his contract. They removed him from their Hall of Fame and erased his presence from their website. It was as if the biggest star in their history had never existed. For Hogan, this was perhaps the lowest point of his life. He issued a public apology, expressing deep regret and shame for his words. He embarked on a journey of atonement, speaking to young people about the power of words and the importance of learning from your mistakes. It was a long and difficult road back. After a 3-year exile, WWE reinstated Hulk Hogan into its Hall of Fame in 2018. The company stated that he had shown genuine remorse and had worked hard to make amends for his hurtful comments. While some fans remained critical, many were willing to forgive their childhood hero, choosing to remember the positive impact he had on their lives. The controversies remain a complicated and undeniable part of his story. They serve as a powerful reminder that even the most immortal legends are human, capable of making great mistakes, but also capable of seeking redemption and learning from their past. On July 24, 2025, the wrestling world fell silent. The immortal Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, passed away at the age of 71. The cause was a sudden cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida, following a recent neck surgery. The news sent shockwaves across the globe. For millions of people, it felt like a piece of their childhood had been taken away. The man who seemed invincible, who always hulked up to overcome the odds, had fought his final battle. The final bell had rung for the greatest champion of them all, and an entire generation was left to mourn the hero who had defined their youth. Tributes poured in from every corner of the world. WWE, the company he put on the map, issued a heartfelt statement calling him the man who helped transform professional wrestling into a global phenomenon. His old boss, Vince McMahon, said simply, "There would be no WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan." His peers, from rivals like Ric Flair to modern stars like Triple H, shared their memories of his incredible charisma and unmatched connection with the fans. Celebrities he had worked with, like Sylvester Stallone, and political figures like Donald Trump also paid their respects, showing just how far his influence had reached beyond the ring. The fans, the Hulkamaniacs, were heartbroken. They gathered outside his Hogan's Hangout bar in Florida, leaving flowers, posters, and handwritten notes. Online, social media was flooded with messages of love and gratitude. People shared stories of meeting their hero, of the inspiration he gave them, and of the joy he brought into their homes every week. They posted pictures of themselves as kids, wearing his red and yellow gear, flexing their muscles just like him. It was a powerful and emotional outpouring that showed just how deeply he had touched so many lives. For them, he was, and always would be, immortal. Hulk Hogan's legacy is more than just championships and famous matches. It is the feeling he gave people. He made them believe. He took professional wrestling from smoky bingo halls and turned it into a global entertainment spectacle. He created the blueprint for what a modern WWE superstar should be. His catchphrases, "What you gonna do, brother?" and his iconic poses are forever woven into the fabric of pop culture. He was a flawed hero, a man who experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. But through it all, he remained the one and only Hulk Hogan. His impact is undeniable, his legend is secure, and his spirit will run wild forever.